Good afternoon. See, this is going to be a fun session. I tell you why it will be. I have never seen a panel like this. This is like my cricket team. So, and to be given this opportunity to moderate them, the good thing is that you have some of the best minds in the imported food business sitting right here. We also have a mix of retailers from across the country, some who are in metropolis and in cities like Bombay, some who are in smaller places like Pune. I will not take too much time in going through each introduction. When the speaker come on, they'll introduce themselves. I'll just want to take maybe 4 minutes to set the stage for, I think, what is happening in this food business. And I know you've been in the session since morning. There are 5, 6 things happening in India and happening simultaneously, irrespective of all the troubles we go through, irrespective of all the issues with our politics or demographic. There are 5, 6 things that are happening, and each of those things, I believe, are irrevocable. The first thing that is happening is that Indians are becoming younger. And I work in a lot of markets, in a lot of countries in the world. This is really, really a young country in the sense that you would imagine. You're talking 70% of a 1 billion population under the age of 35. This power is humongous. Second that is happening is that we as a country have every possible divide that you can imagine. You know, north, west, east, south, rich, poor, educated, uneducated, Hindu, Muslim, Sikh. Anything that you can imagine is a divide that this country sustains. The only thing that binds us, actually 3 things binds us. There is Bollywood, there is cricket. The third thing that binds us is what I call as the power of aspiration. And it cuts across societies, it cuts across population. This power of aspiration of a better tomorrow, better health, better nutrition, just a better tomorrow, has huge ramifications as far as food industry is concerned. And this aspiration, to my mind, and I'm sure all of you will agree, is not limited to the 4 metros or the 6 8-tier cities. This aspiration is getting ingrained into this young population to the length and the breadth of this country. Some categories that I'm aware of, some categories that you are aware of, shoe manufacturers, watch manufacturers, car manufacturers have sensed it. Unfortunately, I still think food manufacturers have a long way to go. An imported food or a gourmet food or a more premium segment has a long, long way to go. And that's why I was so excited when this session came up, because I really think we are talking something today. 5 years from now, results of this will change the dynamics of this country. And that's my sincere belief. Just some quick numbers, and these numbers are not my number. These are numbers that have come out after solid body of research. Right now, they say there are about 22 million households in the middle class. This number is up to 95 million in 2030. This is a report that has come out of McKinsey and CRISIL. There are 270 million people that are getting added to this class. And the ramification of that, again, for the food industry is huge. There will be 68 cities with a million population by 2025. And more importantly, and this is something that I feel very closely from my heart, and I'm sure anybody who lives in Bombay or in bigger cities will feel, that India, in that sense, there are no rich cities or poor cities in this country. Each city has its own set of rich and poor. And I say this with a little authority because my hometown happens to be Patna. I left that place 30 years ago, but I see people from my hometown, from Patna, from Bihar, come to Delhi and come to Bombay and go mad. They're fully aware, they know exactly what you know, just that they don't have the avenues to spend. They don't have restaurants to eat. And that's the opportunity. Rather than breaking our heads in a Kolaba, in a South Bombay, that is where we have to be. You step out. You step out of this small mirage that is in front of us, and then this opportunity that we call India will give you the rewards that it really deserves. So that's what is the context of this discussion. We have a panel, like I said, of importers and retailers. I'll start with Amit, who runs this, who is an importer himself, a very large importer, plus also runs this body of importers, and it's kind of a voice for the importers. To give you a brief on FIFI and what they foresee in the next 3 to 5 years of the demand that India will present. Amit?
Thanks, Sumit. Basically, I would introduce myself. I am the convener of the association. I don't run the association. We have a board which runs the association. But yes, I'm somewhat the face of the association who talks about what the association has been doing for the past 5 years. We are a very new formation. We've been here for the last 5 years. But still, I would say we are the apex body which represents all food importers in India. We talk about the issues and concerns which we face on a day-to-day basis. So instead of fighting our own battles, which we used to do about 10 years back, going to the PFA departments or customs or trade bodies, we represent a united front. This esteemed panel which has been brought down over here come from all different states, from Goa to Delhi to Chandigarh. And this is because of FIFI and the work that the association has done that allows us to help these retailers or importers to create a better understanding of the food import. We try to bring a lot of compliance in the trade, and we ask our members to work with us to create a better understanding, create the synergies which is required between the 3 blocks or the 3 pillars of international food trade. Our mom and pop traditional stores, which are very key and very important. They are not going to go away, and we always wish them all the well. Our new modern trade, or so-called modern trade in India, which has recently starting capturing the imagination of the consumer. The consumer is enjoying a 50,000 square feet store or a 30,000 square feet store, which he used to see maybe in Spain or in Italy or in US. But now they are seeing similar stores in India. And the importer, the fraternity, which is, I always say we are the black sheep, or we are always looked upon as someone who's doing all hanky-panky stuff, bringing all the wrong kind of products in India. But to give you a fact that most of the products, wow, that's amazing. Most of the products that are brought in over here by the importers sitting on this panel or in our association are legitimate product. They go by the standards, which are international standards. We try to conform to each and every regulation, stipulation in India. But yes, we get stuck because of the ambiguity of the whole scenario, which is something that we are trying to educate our members to comply by. I would start by, I think, I'll ask Sumit to come down and sit over here, in fact, if he can join us. I would try to take the importer's perspective on how he looks at a tier 1, tier 2. I don't want to get into that number, that tier 1 and tier 2, but the smaller cities, because at the end of the day, everyone has a network, everyone has a logistical channel, everyone has a distributor or a super stockist, which is available in the metropolitan cities. But what about tier 1 or tier 2, wherein the importer wants to go and launch their brands because there is the money power. As Sumit was talking about that, you know, in every pocket of India, there are rich guys and poor guys. So how do they, in fact, go towards those consumers and try to educate them and ask them to buy the product and create a niche or a market over there? I would start with Mr. Ajay to just give a few briefs.
Thanks, Amit. We are basically into imported meat products. Tier 1, Tier 2, or I would say the most important growth that we are seeing in India are these smaller cities, if I may say. 4 or 5 years back, you know, I was with a friend in Nagpur, And I asked him, why don't we open a meat shop here? You know, imported meat shop. And he said, yaar, kaun lega? Couple of weeks back, he gave me an offer. Why don't we start a meat store here? My point here is that, as Amit has said, and Sumit earlier, that the growth of the Indian consumer is phenomenal. They are very, very educated now. They want to go for the right stuff. We as importers are facing some challenges, which is why, we aren't able to straight away enter the tier 2 market or the tier 3 market. Now, the challenge is not only the retailer. The challenge is the coal supply to make sure that the product reaches in its proper state. And of course, to convince some of the retailers to allow us to do some samplings and promote us. As I said, from 5 years or last 7 years since I'm in the business, we have seen a huge growth, huge change in the entire economy, in the entire way. I can speak for imported meats. Of course, there are distinguished guests here who are better informed about other products. But I can speak about meat with authority, that when we started Hypercity about 6 years back, the meeting was, ye koi kharidega? And they said, give it a shot. And today, things have changed. And we have regular phone calls coming in from Indore and from other 2-tier, 3-tier cities, where people are highly desperate and wanting the products to come there. Solution, I would like to cut this short, is that we need to establish a coal supply chain by which we can comfortably send the material in its proper state and give it to the end user. Thank you.
Thanks, Ajay. I would like to shift the onus now for Mr. Lakshmi Chand. He owns 2 stores in Mumbai, which are society stores. Lakshmi Chand ji, आप क्या basically ऐसी activities करते हैं to entice or to educate your consumer?
First of all, we educate our staff. कस्टमर अगर हमारे से पास्ता मांगता है तो हम पास्ता तो देते हैं, लेकिन पास्ता के साथ और क्या क्या चाहिए ये हमारा स्टाफ उनको एजुकेट करता है कि अगर आपको चीज़ चाहिए या ब्रोकली चाहिए या आपको बेल पेपर चाहिए या ऑरेगानो लगेगा, क्या लगेगा. सो बेसिकली कस्टमर अगर एक चीज़ खरीदने आता है तो उसको ये पता नहीं है कि उसके साथ उसको और क्या क्या लगेगा. सो बेसिकली हम हमारे स्टाफ को एजुकेट करते हैं एट वन एंड. सेकेंड एंड पे जो हमारा डिस्प्ले है वो ऐसे अलाइन किया गया है कि अगर वो पास्ता है तो उसके बाद में उसको जो जो इंग्रेडिएंट्स लगते हैं वो हम रखते हैं, बट कस्टमर को ज़्यादातर तकलीफ नहीं होती. सो वी डू मर्चेंडाइजिंग लाइक दैट.
Thank you. So what I am understanding, then what you're saying is that seems like there is a lot of work that still needs to be done in the established so-called markets like the Delhis and the Mumbais of the world. While what I hear from you, it means that while simultaneously this is going on, there is also this other huge chunk of opportunity that waits. Why don't I go to somebody like Jahangir? Now you do some very high-end products. Where do you see yourself, say 3 to 5 years? I know there are these pockets that are getting created in the metros, but as from a fortune, your company point of view, where do you see that growth? Do you see tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cities coming into play?
Yeah, hi. I'm Jahangir Lawyer from Fortune Gourmet Specialities. Yes, I do. Actually, I see a basic move from necessity to lifestyle, and that is happening on a pan-India basis. A good point that that both Sumit and my distinguished colleague made was defining a city as a tier 1 or tier 2 city is a hard thing to do. For instance, you could be in a neighborhood like South Extension in Delhi or Altamount Road in Bombay and still have slums that are part of your neighborhood. So it's hard to define. Every city has got the potential, And the growth curve is there. I think it is definitely going to be there, and there's a definite shift from moving from a basic need to an indulgence or a lifestyle choice. As far as educating people goes, I mean, half our battle nowadays is actually one. You switch your TV on, and somebody showed me this statistic, and if you go through all your channels, whether they are Oriya, Tamil, Gujarati, so on and so forth, at any time of the day, you will hit at least five to seven food shows that are going to be playing. Food has become something which is sort of a barometer of where you are in life. People define themselves by what they know about food, what they eat. The tier 1 and so-called tier 1 and tier 2 cities, I think, are potentially where the future is. These are people who as you mentioned in the introduction, who will come to Bombay and know exactly what they want to buy and what they want to take home. It's the availability that's not there. Creating that availability and getting out to them and reaching out to these so-called tier 1 and tier 2 cities is a challenge that most of us will face. Cold chain logistics, as you mentioned, is something that is not as developed as it is in the larger cities. Educating of the retailer and what the retailer should be doing for storing the product correctly, so that they in turn can pass it on to their staff, as the distinguished retailer was talking about, is an important thing as well. But the future is definitely bright, and the future is there, and I think this is going to continue to grow and be a very, very fruitful place to be.
It's really heartening to hear that from you. When an importer with such premium products, such product, temperature-sensitive product, also feels that there is that growth potential coming in through that. How about somebody like Mr. Bajoria, where you have a wide range of product and you're extremely aggressive in your shelf placement, and I see your product all over the place. How do you see that growth going forward in smaller cities?
Good afternoon. I think it's good evening, everybody. I'm Sanjay Bajoria. I remember 5 years back, me and Sumit, we were in the same forum, and that time the topic was, is the Indian taste bud ready for the international food? Today, I think we have graduated much enough to talk, is the Indian taste bud in the tier 2 cities need international food? So definitely we have walked a long step in these years. So there has been a lot of hard work done by everybody. It's no doubt about it. See, the most important thing is Indian consumers are very well educated. The TV shows, what Mr. Jahangir was saying, or modern trade, even the grocery stores now converting themselves into supermarkets. Everybody has played a very big role in bringing Indian consumers different type of food, whether it is Indian or international. Earlier, the choice was restricted. Today, the consumers have a bigger choice. Now, when we talk about the brand, what we do, American Garden, we had always tried to go into tier 2 and 3 cities, because the kind of product what we do is not restricted to metropolitan cities. So we have very closely worked with smaller towns. I can name a few if you want: Guwahati, Gangtok, Siliguri, Udupi, Mangalore, number of small cities, and the response there has been phenomenal. हम बचपन से कहावत सुनते हैं हिंदी में कि प्यासा कुएं के पास जाता है. We need to do उल्टा. कुआ प्यासे के पास जावे तभी हमको सक्सेस मिलेगा. So we importers has to go to the consumers in tier 2 cities to make ourselves available. So that is very important. We cannot expect consumers to fly down to Mumbai, Delhi, shop in hypercity and go back. They won't do that. So we have to go to them. We have to, and QSR has made a lot of difference. Whether it is Domino's or McDonald's, all QSR has added value to our products.
Absolutely.
So we need to encash them. And in order to encash them, the only solution to this is let's walk the extra mile, go to the small cities, make our products available. And I think 1 billion, no problem. The question was same in the morning. Are we feeding 1 billion? No problem. The target is 1 billion. We will reach someday. Thank you.
No, I take that and I really believe what Mr. Bajoria is talking about. And we have incorporated a lot of these things. And when we get orders from smaller towns, which people would have not heard, there's a small town called Nawashahar in Punjab, where almost every household has a NRI or someone who's working in UK or Canada. Small towns like, there's a town called Anand, which is near Baroda, where we see the demand for international food or international products is tremendous. We see something like this from Pokhran, which was the nuclear blast site, and we see there is this corner which is a divide between Rajasthan and Gujarat, where all the buses stop, and it's like a tourist destination, and we see a lot of imported products because a lot of expats move around and a lot of foreigners move around. But what I want to take from here is I want to talk to from a store from Goa with Mr. Kirat. How has Maxons taken this forward? Yes, you have a big clientele, which is the foreigners or people who are coming as a tourist to your town. But how do you take this forward and have a considerable database of consumers who are your regular customers? Because, the Goa crowd is seasonal. So after a certain point of time, how do you take that forward for a year-round strategy on having these products and a consistent consumer base?
Thank you, Amit. I represent Maxons. We run a chain of 10 convenience stores in Goa. I feel most uncomfortable when I sit in groups like this and people talk about tier 1 and tier 2. You consider Goa, we may be tier 4 or tier 5 or whatever. Just consider a population of 1.5 million in the whole of Goa. I think our neighbor at Kandivali-Borivali will be having more number of people over here. So for us, it's an absolute challenge to make sure that imported products move at our stores. Very fortunately for us, Goa is a very, very evolved market. It's not just a tourist market, as Amit says. It's a very evolved local population that we have in Goa. People who have traveled the world, who have traveled the globe. If you go to a certain part of Goa, which is South Goa, you will see at least 1 or 2 people from every family who are working abroad. Either they are working on cruise liners or they are working on hotels abroad. So these are the people who are actually been exposed to international quality food. They are the people who don't need to be fully educated. Our challenge here is how do you educate the other masses? For us, we try to create a certain niche for ourselves in all our stores. So we are not just another store in Goa, though we've got 10 stores running over there. How do you create this niche? We sell something like more than 30% of our total sales come from the imported segment category. We've continuously been talking, and I think 6 or 7 of us sitting over here who are our key importers are the people who are actually feeding us that percentage. And we've continuously been after all the importers to say, people here in Goa especially are not looking at one-off offers. They're not looking at a buy one, get one offer. They want to know how these products can subsequently be used in their kitchens. So we try and make sure that we have demonstrations of products, how they can be used, because these are high-priced products. And these products need to be used properly. I'll just give you a small example. Last year when I was on this panel, we gave a presentation on how we were innovating in creating certain categories like, say, roasted turkeys. Now, in Goa, it's a big thing to have a roast turkey on your table, especially for Thanksgiving or for Christmas time. This year, we wanted to continue with the same process. And we realized that the orders were so many that our kitchen would not be able to cope up. So what we decided is, let's have a session with all the people who wanted turkey on their table. And we said, you just buy the raw turkeys from us, and there are a lot of importers now for raw imported turkeys, and we will teach you how to cook them. We will, you marinate the turkeys the way it is to be done. You don't have an oven, you bring it to us. We will cook it in our oven. It saves us a lot of time. It educates the customer. And this time we had a record number of people who came over and who learned how to use international spices, who learned how to make international stuffings, who learned how to make international sauces for their turkeys. And that's how our proportion of imported goods that we sold grew. So the whole idea, I think, is how you innovate and go to the customer and show him exactly what he has to do to use these products. I think that's where the future lies.
Thank you so much, Kiratji. What I would take forward from that, again, is the fact that, you know, the kind of innovative ideas that you're talking about, that let the consumer come down, make them understand how the product is used, how it is consumed, that enhances that process. So someone who's tried a pesto pasta at a restaurant, at a fine dining restaurant, when he comes to your store, if you are able to give him the right ingredients, and the way even Lakshmi Chandji was talking about the fact that he puts the same kind of ingredients in an aisle so that it is easier for a consumer to locate those products, and his staff educates the consumer on buying the right kind of product. The other category I want to put forward is taking Mr. Prakash, who's from Delta, is a category of ingredients. They are one of the largest importers of ingredients in India, which has been able to create basically fill the gap which was there for the bakery industry, for the service industry. And how has that changed, and how is the demand of these categories or these products in the Indian market as of now?
Thanks, Amit. Thanks for giving me for this opportunity. I'll introduce myself. My name is Prakash Sangvi. I am from Delta Nutritives. We are into specializing into bakery ingredients, primarily which are used from the largest to the smallest bakeries. Coming back to your question, Amit, the thing is, I relate an incident way back about 8 years before when we began this bakery business. We used to import what we call fillings, which are now very popular, blueberry fillings. And at that period of time, nobody knew what a blueberry was. I'm sorry for that, but hardly anybody knew what a blueberry was. And once we came to know about that yeah, this market is hungry for such products, we began a session of demos from city to city, town to town, going to various catering institutes, teaching them, the students over there, the last year students who are into specialization. And today we can see blueberry available everywhere. A blueberry cheesecake, a blueberry muffin, a blueberry whatever. So this is a kind of awareness which is amongst the people as well. And what Sanjay just mentioned is, it's all about reaching. People, with no offense to the lower tier 1 or tier 2 or tier 3 cities, you just have to reach the product over there. And people are so well educated, they are aware of what they want to buy. The biggest example would be about chocolates. Most of them sitting over here, they know what chocolates are. But if we go deeper into it, chocolates and mostly what is sold around is imitation. So this is the awareness. Even in smaller places, they are aware of it. And this is a kind of reach which we have been able to go explain to them, show them, have workshops out there. We call them over to our place where we have a demo kitchen. Difference between a real chocolate and an imitation chocolate. So it's all about educating and showing them where the product is available. There are people ready to buy. It's only about how and what and where.
There are two cities that we work extensively in. And I think they would hate to be called tier 1 or tier 2. These two cities being Pune and Chandigarh. When we launched California prunes about 10 years ago, nobody figured out that the maximum sale was from two places, Ludhiana and Chandigarh. I couldn't get my arms around why always this was. We tried our best in Calcutta, we tried Bangalore, we tried Bombay, we tried Delhi. And the sale numbers out of Ludhiana was maximum. And जो आप बोल रहे थे ना कुआं ले जाना पड़ता है. These people from Ludhiana and Chandigarh had actually traveled to their sons or their nephews in the US or in Canada and spent some time there. And once they got hooked on to prunes, they needed prunes every morning. If people know prunes, you know why. But that's the kind of demand. And we have Mr. Gulati from Chandigarh, from Empire Stores. And that's one store that defies a lot of traditional so-called logic of retail because of the kind of volumes that they are able to move, especially on high value and premium products.
I'm Subhash Gulati from Chandigarh. We have a store which is almost more than 50 years old now. And this is one of my father started this business with Empire Stores, New Delhi in 1937. And they used to sell all imported things at that time even. And now we are in Chandigarh. Chandigarh, most of the people are educated and working class people. They travel a lot, and there are also very good, lot of families from Punjab, those who have migrated to Chandigarh to live in a city beautiful, which is in Chandigarh is the most planned city in the country. So there is a lot of awareness of this imported products, and people sometimes tell us that you get this is now available in America, this is available in this country and other countries also. So there is a lot of potential of imported, and people are very, there in Chandigarh, the people are very health conscious people. They always want to have something good for the health. And I'm sure that there will be a great demand in future also. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gulati. I would take forward to one of our esteemed colleagues and one of the importers who wears a lot of hats, who's based out of Chandigarh. He is an importer, he is somewhat a retailer, he also owns a restaurant over there, and he also produces Italian cheeses in India. So he's one guy with a lot of hats, and I don't know how healthy he keeps, but I'm sure that being from Chandigarh, he's going to give some explanation on what's the healthy food that he eats, and how does he look at the markets in that aspect.
Thank you, Amit. I'm Puneet Gupta from Elcoms and Impex. We are an importer who are based in India. And the reason is that because I belong to Chandigarh, and just the city grew on me. And I could never outgrow the city and move it. And as Mr. Gulati pointed out, it was very clean, the air is cleaner, it is a smaller city. I have a lot more time for myself and my family. And Mr. Doma, probably I'm eating a lot more healthy food than I'm supposed to, right? So that probably answers your question. What I think is that even in the tier 1, tier 2 cities, now people are very well educated. They have a lot more time to cook, to experiment, than probably in a bigger city where they are more stressed out on the time bit. The women in the house, young girls, our wives, or whoever, they are more trying to innovate because they have a lot more time with it to cook around. So they are ready to experiment. And now what is happening that even whenever a big brand is launching in India, they definitely, whether it's a QSR, whether it is a Chinese restaurant, Italian restaurant, now they have started coming down to opening those restaurants in the tier 1, tier 2 city because they realize that there is a lot of pent-up demand there as well. So once that is there, then definitely, and the rentals are lower in the smaller cities, tier 1 cities, which give, for example, for a store, if he has to open in Mumbai or Delhi, there is paucity of space there. And while in a city like Chandigarh, Ludhiana, there are much more avenues to open up a bigger store where the products are very well displayed. And since now everything is a global village, I think people are traveling all around and they are ready to experiment, and that is the reason for growth which I see. Thank you.
In fact, what you said on QSR, I have some numbers. And the number just blows your mind. And this is a number that came from CRISIL. The QSR right now is 3,400 crore market.
Yes.
In next 3 years, the CRISIL report says that it's going to double to 7,000 crores.
Yes.
That's the put. And they say that 68% of this growth is going to be fueled by small and medium cities. That's a mind-blowing number of a QSR market growing twice its size in less than 3 years. And I wanted to come to Pune. There's some cities like Chandigarh, Pune, which also has this advantage of being next to a metro or a large rich place.
Yes, I would say that definitely, because Pune is in the shadow of the metro like Mumbai, and and Pune also is a hub for IT, manufacturing, and for education. That's because it's quite a matured market, and because of that, there's a huge demand for imported food products, and making it available everywhere, maximum possible places. And that is the reason we've opened the concept of Fine Foods, which is a premium, friendly neighborhood, premium corner store where people can have maximum availability of all international cuisines and products. And basically people would like to try different cuisines, and they should be available, readily available. And that's what we've been trying to put in our stores, is maximum range and maximum variety of cuisines, so that the people can come and try it. And that's what the concept of Fine Foods has been. This has been a friendly neighborhood corner shop premium store. Thank you.
What percentage of your sales would be imported?
Mine is a purely imported food store. We have almost 95% of our products are international, and ours is a small format store, about 600, 700 square feet only, and we try to put in as much possible to as many products possible in our store, so that the consumer can get a wide range and wide choice of all the cuisines, all the different kind of products. And in our store, we like to portray the products and the brands as if they are like what the FMCG, the local FMCG people do. We try to display the brands in a proper way, and we put up merchandising of the branding and merchandising of the products as if similar to what the FMCG stores do, so that people get more aware, and they get these brands get more, the imported brands get more.
But what about the
yes.
footfall? How many people do you think?
Pardon?
What about the footfalls? Say on a regular day and on a weekend.
Footfalls, I would say I would get anywhere about 100 to 150 footfalls per store per day, and it is growing exponentially actually throughout the years. Like, we've been in this business for almost 3-4 years now, and it has been very good response. Last 3 years back, the footfall I would say would have been 25-50. Now it's about 100 plus all stores. So the response has been fantastic, and I think so going ahead 5 years from now, it is a very promising category, and it should really look up now. Thanks.
So now from Pune and Chandigarh, which might have low rentals, let's move around to Delhi. दिल्ली से हमारे एक retailer हैं. ये लोग, they had a kirana store which used to sell your staple dal, atta, chawal, chini, called Santlal Ramji Das, which was in a very affluent colony in Delhi, which is called Hoskas, which is also coinciding with another colony, which is Mayfair Garden, where the top-notch industrialist of Delhi stay. In लोगों ने, they outgrew their store, and they have now, in the last 1.5 years, opened up a new store, जिसका नाम Gourmet Store है, जिसके अंदर ये major international categories from cheese to meat to dairy products to beverages to saffron. They sell a lot of products. तो मैं पुरुषोत्तम जी से ये जानना चाहता था कि किस तरीके से उन्होंने क्यों ये डिसीजन लिया, और वो अपनी मार्केट को कैसे केटर करते हैं, क्या सर्विसेज वो अपने कंज्यूमर को देते हैं कि वो कंज्यूमर एक बड़े छोटे स्टोर जो आपका स्टोर साइज कोई मेरे ख्याल से 300 स्क्वायर फुट या 400 स्क्वायर फुट का स्टोर है, तो 500 स्क्वायर फुट का स्टोर इन कंपैरिजन टू 4000 और 5000 स्क्वायर फुट का स्टोर पे जाने के बजाय वो आपके स्टोर पे आते हैं. अ मैटर ऑफ कन्वीनियंस जरूर होता है, बट उसके अलावा आप और क्या फैसिलिटीज देते हैं? क्या फ्री होम डिलीवरी या अदर एक्टिविटीज आप करते हैं जिससे जैसे कंज्यूमर आपके पास आए?
अभी जी, जैसे अपने का मॉस्कास में स्टोर है, तो आसपास जो है पंचशील के लोग रहते हैं, मेफर के लोग रहते हैं, एसडी के रहते हैं, बड़े बड़े इंडस्ट्री जैसे हीरो होंडा, हल्दीराम्स, मिस्टर और काफ़ी सारे इंडस्ट्री एम्बियंस वाले हैं आसपास, द वेरी रिच पीपल. उनकी जो डिमांड, कहते हैं ना डिमांड एंड सप्लाई पे सब चलता है, वो उन लोगों ने हमें सिखाया कि ये आप ये चीज़ें अवेलेबल कराओ. पास्ता, ये सारी चीज़ कैटेगरीज, पहले हमारे पास अमूल एंड ब्रिटानिया चीज़ होता था, इस समय हमारे पास जितना चीज़ है हमने कभी सोचा भी नहीं था हम इतना वैरायटी ऑफ चीज़ बेच सकते हैं कभी. ये सब हमने कंज्यूमर ने सिखाया. हम कभी नॉन वेज नहीं बेचते थे, आज हम नॉन वेज बेचते हैं क्योंकि कस्टमर डिमांड करता है इस चीज़ की. हमारे स्टोर के अंदर जो भी चीज़ें हैं, हमने जब स्टोर खोला था तो 40% चीज़ें हमने अपनी मर्जी की रखी थी, 60% हमने कस्टमर की चॉइस पर रखी. जैसे जैसे हमने एक नया स्टोर खोलता है तो सब देखने आते हैं, तो वो सब कस्टमर हमारा जो स्टोर है 1958 से है, हमने वहाँ पर कंज्यूमर को बताया हमने नया स्टोर खोला है. वो हमारे नए स्टोर में आए, उनको हमने अपने प्रोडक्ट दिखाए, उन्होंने और आइटम्स बताई, आप वैराइटीज़ बढ़ाओ. हमने कस्टमर के हिसाब से वैरायटी को बढ़ाया. अवेयरनेस उन्होंने हमें कस्टमर ने ही दी कि आप ये चीज़ें बढ़ाओ और बढ़ाओ. आज हमारा मेरे ख्याल से जगह कम पड़ रही है और वैराइटीज़ बढ़ती जा रही है. हमने मिल्क अभी तक हमने 40 रुपीज़ 60 रुपीज़ बेचा था पर लीटर, आज हमारे स्टोर में 275 लीटर भी मिल्क बिकता है, बिकॉज कस्टमर डिमांड करता है. डिमांड एंड सप्लाई का खेल है सारा आपके इसके अंदर.
So clearly what appears to me that there is no dearth of demand. Small stores in big cities, big store in small cities, we can go. The thing that we have 10-15 minutes, the thing that has not got addressed is supply chain. It's all fine that, you know, this is that demand and this is that consumer who is asking for newer products, and you have chefs in the audience, and you know, chefs have done wonders in this country. The shows that are now on TV, you know, people are seeing them across, and clearly there is a demand that comes up right after that. So I just wanted to ask Bangaji from Banyan, how do you think, sir, it's all there, like Mr. Bajoria said. 5 साल पहले कोई ये नहीं कहता था कि बॉम्बे में कैसे पहुंचेगा. Now at least we are moved to that stage that we are now talking Pune, Chandigarh. Hopefully one day we'll move where we'll talk Patna. But the question is, what about the supply chain?
When Bajoria ji say कि कुएं को लेके जाना है वहाँ पे, so he's talking about product only. कि भी marketing करनी है, sale करनी है, माल वहाँ पहुँचना चाहिए, but he's not talking about putting infrastructure there. What we need that, you know, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities, you need to have infrastructure there. You know, if infrastructure is not going to be there, especially on the perishables, you know, these people who are trying the product for the first time, they would not get the right quality. And they'll be, you know, who can convert into a customer would not be a customer after all, you know. And second time, if the supply chain is not in place, the availability of the stuff again and again would not be there. So if the customer is not going to get the product consistently out there every time, so how can you keep the customer as a new customer, you know? He has to get the stuff every time in the right shape, right quality, right temperature, and then he's a customer which is going to be your customer for all long. So supply chain management, putting infrastructure in these cities is very, very important, which very few of our importing community members are really taking care of that.
And I'm not sure if it is the responsibility of the importing community.
You know, till the time product is sold, and I'm talking about retail perspective, not from the food service, because these cities are not really food service oriented at the moment. They're hardcore, you know, consumer base, you know, individual consumer, as you call aspiring India. You know, that's the customer base we have. Now these customers and the retailers, the kind of arrangement we have at the moment, until the product is sold and realized, it's my stake as an importer. You know, it's my money is there. So I'm putting my money on somebody's thing, but I don't have cold storage, I don't have infrastructure out there. Ultimately, I'm going to lose. The material will come back to me, it's going to debit it to me back. So it's my onus as an importer for the premium food category. You know, dal chawal is, you know, something different. वो तो आ रहा है, जा रहा है, चल रहा है. But perishable, new products, high value products, we are introducing. We want customers to relish them and, you know, be a long-term customer. So it's onus is on us to put right kind of infrastructure there so that, you know, we can convert those aspiring India as a consumer.
No, no, very, very fair point. And I don't know if in the audience there are people who are logistics service provider or third-party logistics supplier. But that's where the opportunity is. That's where the next 5 years is. And if we also, get our resources to focus in that. What about you, Uday? Do you think this is where the challenge is? This is where the big issue is? Or
For the supply chain, because I deal majorly in dry goods, so supply chain there is not a problem. As far as the perishable is concerned, there is a problem. But I feel that the media, it's like TV ads, printed ads, they really in the demand for the product, like in olive oil, we take an example. A lot of olive oil advertisements coming on the television increases the demand of olive oil in tier 2, tier 1 cities. So that is the thing, because logistic issue is majorly with perishable. Because when we deal with dry products, there is always a supply chain there.
you know what? Jagat, something, yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to shoot myself in the head by doing this. I never seem to learn a lesson. But the elephant in the room here is FSSAI. That nobody seems to be talking about, whether we are importers or retailers whose shelves are empty right now. Although this is a great, their intention is great. What they're doing is a good thing. The way they're doing it is head upwards.
That's why we have, thank the organizers, they have a full session on it tomorrow.
Right. But I just even when you're looking at supply chain and we're talking about supply chain and having the consumer having the goods on a regular level, with a testing period that goes into more than the transit time from Chile to India, and they take that long to do a test. I mean, it is crippling. The point is being lost here, and everyone has issues with this. And once again, I'm putting my foot in my mouth that like I have a couple of years ago. And if I'm in trouble, come and bail me out. But FSSAI is hindering not only the supply chain, but also is contradictory to what their aim is for food safety. Because in the measures that they're taking in testing, that's something that is being lost, and the plot is being lost. That said, I had to get that off my chest.
Thank you. It's a topic close to a lot of hearts. So you touch a chord there. But I wanted to put a lot of responsibility on Saikar. I said that it's not necessarily the importer responsibility. I think it is the retailer responsibility. And you know why I say this? We work a lot in the cold chain area. And when people tell me that there is no cold chain in India, I disagree. I disagree very sincerely. My point is that you are able to sell a danda of ice cream in the remotest village in Odisha at -18. Howsoever he takes it. He takes it with ice on his cycle and he takes it there. But the fact is, there is an ice cream being sold in the remotest place in Odisha. The polio drops managed to reach each nook and corner. So I think once the retail gears up and it puts in a set of measures for both the product integrity and supply chain, I think there will be people in the audience or people in the food industry who will take this up. What do you think?
Sure, I think this is one area we lacked. I mean, it's not talking about a retailer like us, we Spencers. Talk about any retailer in the country where there is a major issue with the back-end integration, there is an issue with cold chain, there is issue with cold storage even. I mean, and this is the kind of issue which Sumit is saying correctly, that this needs to be taken up by the retailers. But to tell you the fact that the retailers have taken it up very, very strongly, and the kind of action what is happening on this backward integration and on supply chain issues, even for creating cold chain, is tremendous. At least I can give Spencer's view that we have been working on this very, very strongly, and we have a plan for next 1 to 2 years to take it to the next level and establish it in a right manner.
And how about the expansion plan to the smaller cities?
We actually have a huge expansion plan for the smaller cities. In fact, we are present in cities. If we take UP, we are already there in Meerut, we are there in Allahabad, we are there in Gorakhpur, in Uttarakhand, we are there in Haridwar, and we are shortly coming up in Aligarh. Down south, we are there in almost all the cities of Andhra. I mean, being smaller cities like Kakinada, to places like Kadapa. I mean, you name it, we are there. And in fact, if you talk about the expansion plan of Spencer's also, in next 3 years' time, we are going to actually make our number of hyper count to threefolds. And a major thrust will definitely be on the smaller cities. But yes, our major focus will definitely be there on north, east, and south, not so much so in the west.
And how's the response been in the smaller cities where you operate?
As far as imported food is concerned, that's what our topic is today. I mean, I have seen this industry for past almost 7 years now, and I have seen people graduating, very much from what they used to buy from our stores and what they are buying right now. People have been tremendously exposed due to innumerable number of TV shows and cookery shows. They're internationally traveled, so the knowledge base what the shoppers have in today's world is tremendous. You can't fool them anymore. So actually earlier, what at least 2 years back or 1 year back also what we used to do for so-called tier 2 to tier 3 cities, we used to keep imported articles who are possibly impulse items. People buy through impulse. And tier 1 cities or A-grade cities, we used to keep both impulse and planned purchase. So when we talk about planned purchase, what some of our panelists were discussing, where we take out some of the cuisine, some of the recipes, and we try to make sure that all the ingredients are present in the store for completing one particular recipe. But nowadays, we are seeing the change, even in the smaller cities, the purchase is not restricted to impulse only. It is both planned and impulse. So there are some massive data which is coming up. Recently, we have opened up a store in a place like Dhanbad. I was sharing with some of you, and
Like
people used to drive down, from Dhanbad to Calcutta to procure those things. Now they feel so very good. They feel ecstatic that they have that kind of store in Dhanbad. Now we have seen people coming down from Bokaro, driving down from Bokaro to Dhanbad to pick up those products. I mean, so that accentuating is happening, and happening very, very fast.
Great, thank you so much. I think we have 3-4 minutes left. Is there any question in the audience? Since we have a large panel, please identify if you want to ask somebody specific. Yes, sir. There's a question. Please identify yourself as well.
I'm Ajay Menon. I represent a company in the Middle East, and we are a condiment supplier. We have come here to map the market and the opportunities out here. My question to few of the members, so that we get different perspectives. The question is that how do you see the trend when an imported product is brought into this market, you get good response, and later on the same product or the same brand is then formally launched into India. How do your consumers behave then? Do they move to the same brand local supplies, and do you facilitate by giving them that option, or do you only categorize as the imported versions or the imported brands only so that the exclusivity is retained?
See, as an importer, I would definitely want to put this forward. There are a lot of brands who've already done that. Oreos, which was a brand from Kraft, which now comes under Cadbury, was earlier imported by importers, now is locally produced in Punjab. So what I believe is once the brand has created a market for itself, then there is a very thin line where the consumer does not feel bad that the product is produced in India, as long as the quality, the packaging, and the other aspects remain the same. What we find is that certain times, as a measure of cost cutting, when the international brand which produces a product in US or Canada or New Zealand or Australia, when they come into the Indian market, they launch the brand with a price factor in place, wherein the quality is somewhere compromised in comparison to the original product. So the quality of the cream, the quality of the ingredients, that becomes a problem for us. But otherwise, what we believe is after a certain point of time, it really does not make a difference if the brand is produced abroad. But yes, in the initial stages, the brand value is because of the aspiration, the new product of the international brand. I would ask any of the other importers who wants to take this, and if maybe...
I also think on the same lines, for example, Hershey's, they have also localized the product and they have got reasonable success. But it doesn't mean that if you start localizing the product, it would be 100% successful. You have to see how widespread the consumption is, and seeing the volumes, you need to decide whether localization makes sense or not. If the market is not large enough and you go in for localization, it can boomerang as well. Because once a person is localizing, then obviously he wants to touch a larger consumer base. And if you want to touch a larger consumer base, either the pack size has to be smaller, or there has to be some difference in the ingredients generally, so that you can tap into a larger, which would be beneficial for the person who's localizing the product, because obviously you are setting up a factory and making millions of dollars of investment, right? So probably you need to take a call on that.
Unfortunately, the time does not permit. So we'll all be around. And I see a team waiting at the back. But you got to give it up for us for keeping this session on time. I've never managed this. So thank you, audience. Thank you, all of you. Thank you so much.